just opened channel memberships. There's only one tier at 99p, and you will get access to 4 extra videos a month. Super cute custom emojis and badges, and access to member-only polls. There is absolutely no pressure to join. Everything else on the channel will stay exactly the same. This is just another little option for people who may be interested in that extra content, or just for people who want to further support the channel. But let's just get into today's video. Also, I'm really sorry about the background noise. It's really windy today. And something keeps creaking, and I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, it's never happened before, so I can't pinpoint it, but it's so annoying. So I'm really sorry, and I'm really sorry about that dog that was just barking. As always, in the description will be the links to the OPs and their stories. But yeah. Let's just get into today's story, guys. Let me find Reddit on my iPad. I need to clear my iPad out. It's so cluttered with random apps and games that I don't use. Okay, let's go to the top. Okay. The first story is by AITA. It's titled, "I work the late night shift at a fast food drive-thru, but after recent events, I never want to work there again. I work the night shift at a small fast food restaurant 5 nights a week. The food joint is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I just happen to be the unlucky bastard who has to work the drive-thru from midnight until 8 in the morning. Well, me and 16-year-old Ethan, but he might as well not be there. In fact, he isn't really there because he prefers to go out in the car park and get high. I would complain about him, but he is the boss's son, so it wouldn't do much good anyway. So 5 times a week, I run this restaurant basically by myself. Usually it's fine, not many customers come through at that time apart from a few young people and a few stoners that may have the munchies. So usually it is an easy shift, except for last night. The events of last night make me never want to work the night shift again. It all started when I arrived at work at midnight, like I always do. I managed to quickly say hello to Ethan before he quickly made his way out to the car park. The joint practically lit as he was walking outside. I then went over to the cooking area, made sure that everything was working properly. Then I made my way over to the drive-thru window, put on my headset and watched the cameras for the first customer to arrive. It was around 12:30 when the first car drove up to the drive-thru speaker and places their order: a large fries and a 12-pack of nuggets. The usual sort of order that you get at this time of night. I served them their food and wished them was impossible to see into the car from the cameras. I heard a slight crackly sound through my headset and saw that the driver of this car had wound down his window just a crack. Enough to speak through, but not enough to see into the car. He had then cleared his throat, which was the sound that I heard through the headset speaker. "Good evening. What would you like to order?" I asked through the microphone. A deep, croaky voice then replied, "I am after some chicken nuggets and a kid's meal," I heard the croaky voice say through the speaker in my ear. "I can get you some nuggets, sir, that's not a problem," I replied to the man. "But unfortunately the kids' meal is only available between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. so I cannot give you that at the moment." I thought I was polite with my answer, but the man driving the Cadillac obviously didn't agree because he quickly replied, "You son of a bitch, you won't serve me because I am not a kid," he said. Before I could reply, the front wheels of the Cadillac began to spin and a little bit of smoke started spewing from the back tires. Suddenly the car lurched forward and I quickly saw the red of his tail lights, and then he was gone. He had driven out of the drive-thru at great speed, obviously in anger. It was very strange, but I had dealt with angry and slightly unhinged customers before, and so I didn't really think too much of it. It wasn't until I saw the same black Cadillac pull up an hour later that I thought that something wasn't quite right here. The car slowly made its way up to the drive-thru speaker, its headlights shining brightly into my eyes as it drove. Once I saw that the car was lined up with the speaker, I knew that I had to be diplomatic about this and try my best to sound friendly and polite. "Hello, how can I help you tonight? What would you like to order?" I asked in the best customer service voice I could muster. There was silence for a moment, and then, through the camera, I saw the driver's side window begin to slide down. Once again, only a small crack, not big enough to see through. Then I heard the same deep and croaky voice speak. "I want to order the kids' meal," the voice said, or rather, it demanded. "I am very sorry, sir, but the kids' meal is not available at this time," I replied, still trying to sound as friendly as possible. "It's because I'm not a child, isn't it? That's why you won't serve me the kids' menu," the voice responded with a more aggressive tone. "I mean, technically, you do have to be under 18 in order to purchase a kids' meal at this restaurant. Or, you need to be purchasing it for someone under 18, but that is not the issue tonight. It is because you are trying to order." I was cut off from speaking by the sound of the engine roaring and the tires screeching as the Cadillac suddenly took off, in a cloud of smoke coming from the back tires. went like normal. I served a few high school kids who must have just got their license. I then served a group of people who were in the back of a taxi. This was all pretty normal for the late shift at the drive-thru, and I thought my night was returning to normal until I saw two bright-eyed lights appear. They were blindingly bright, and I had to squint just to see past the beams of the light that were penetrating into my eyes. I didn't even really have to squint to know who it was that was driving. I knew it was the black Cadillac once again. The car pulled up next to the speaker. The dark tinted window rolled down just an inch, and then I heard the same voice through my headset. I have asked you time and time again for a kid's meal, and you will not provide. I know it is because you know I am not a kid, and so you will not serve me. Well, guess what? I went and found a kid, so now you have to serve me. As soon as I heard the words, found a kid, I began to get incredibly nervous. What did he mean by that? I didn't know how to respond to this. I stood there in the small drive-thru booth for a moment, not knowing what to do or say. Then my headset let out a small crackle, and once again I heard the croaky voice. Would you like to see? The voice said, just before it let out a small, raspy laugh. A laugh that I could tell meant nothing good. It sounded like he wanted to show me, and he knew that what he had to show me, I wouldn't think. Before I could respond, I heard a loud thud through my headset. It startled me and brought me back to the reality of my situation. My heart began to pump faster, and I could feel sweat beginning to form on my forehead. I then noticed the image that was being shown on the screen in front of me. I could see the black Cadillac on the screen, and on the passenger side I could see there was now someone sitting there. I recognized them instantly. It was Ethan. His head was being pressed up to the black tinting, but you could tell who it was. See, I told you that I now had a kid, so will you serve me my kid's meal? The voice suddenly spoke. I pulled the headset off of my head and threw it to the ground. I didn't want to hear any more. I was about to try and run outside to try and help Ethan. But before I could even move, the black Cadillac began to move, and it disappeared from the drive-thru and into the night. I quickly rang the police, and they soon sent a couple of officers out to assist me. I explained everything that had happened, about the black car, about the driver wanting the kids' meal, and of course about Ethan. I described his face being pressed up against the windscreen and how the man had driven off with him still in the car. The police wrote all of this down, and just after I had finished describing the night's events to one of the officers, the other one suddenly burst into the room in a panic. I don't remember all the details of what happened after that. It all passed by as a blur, but I do remember both officers rushing outside. know that I followed them. I wanted to know what was happening. I do remember walking through the car park and then walking up to what both the officers were standing over. And I definitely remember the sight of Ethan's headless body lying on the ground, a joint still lit in his hand. The rest of the night went past quickly. The police continued to question me, and I don't remember much about it. What I do remember, though, very vividly, was when I returned home in the early hours of the morning. I walked up to my front porch and saw a box sitting on the front step. As I got closer and closer, I slowly began to realize what the box was. It was a kid's meal box from my restaurant, just sitting by itself on the front porch. I got closer to it, and when I was close enough to grab it, I very slowly leant down to pick it up. When I began to lift it, I could feel that it was a bit weighty. There was definitely something inside the box. I slowly lifted the lid. The strong smell of meat started to waft into my nose. I really didn't want to keep on lifting the lid, but I just couldn't stop myself. I lifted the lid the rest of the way. Inside, when I looked, I saw that it was filled with chicken nuggets. That wasn't what was disturbing, though. What was disturbing was that in the middle of the box, on top of all the nuggets, was a severed nose. That one was good. I enjoyed that one. Definitely a creepy end to it. How did that man know the address? And the fact that Ethan's body was on the ground in the parking lot meant he was never in the car, just his head was. Okay, let's move on to the next story. The next story is by Toma Carmelli. It's titled "The Night Shift at McDonald's That Made Me Resign." My name is Tom. I've worked at McDonald's for a pretty long time. It was the only normal option that I had in our tiny little town. Well, at least it was normal until that one night shift. That night I was set to the McDrive stand. My manager likes to stick me there, though I find it pretty comforting. The job is basically to sit on a chair next to the intercom, get the order from the customers outside, make it and serve it to the customers through the reception window. It's much better than working at the counter with all these extra ketchup and mayonnaise requests, and much, much better than cleaning the whole store, so I don't have any complaints. The time was 11 p.m. Soon my shift would be over. I was leaning on the windowsill playing on my phone. Our branch is at a pretty isolated place outside of town, so we don't have that many people coming by, especially during these hours. Suddenly the intercom bell rang, which means that someone is outside with his car and wants to order. I open my microphone and say, "McDonald's, Tom speaking, what would you like to order?" From the other side I could hear the voice of a tired middle-aged man. "Hey, yes. Give me 1 large fries and 1 large Coke." "No problem, sir. It's $12. And your name is?" "Bob," he says. "Okay, Bob. reception window and wait. That one is a piece of cake. I'm rushing to the kitchen, grabbing fries that were ready in advance. I'm pouring into a large cup of Coca-Cola from the machine. As I step towards the window, I see a police car, and in the driver's seat there is this fat cop who is waiting for his healthy midnight meal. He looks exhausted. Tough night, I ask, to break the ice. He sighs. Yeah, just getting back from a harsh scene. Terrible car accident. Oh God, are there any fatalities? As a response, he takes his finger and slides it around his neck. I got the meaning. He pays me, I hand him his fatty bag, and he drives away. You know, one of the interesting things about working at McDrive is that I get to hear a bunch of different stories from a variety of people. One time it's a cop, another time it's a lawyer, and once in a while it's a drunk homeless guy who thinks that the window is the main cash register and yells at us when we try to explain to him that this cashier is for cars only. The branch has returned to be empty and quiet. I was playing on my phone, waiting for the shift to be over. After a few minutes, the intercom rang again. McDonald's, Tom speaking, what would you like to order? But there is no response from the other side of the line, just a wired white noise. It's odd. Hello, how can I help you? But the white noise is still there. No response. It's so weird, I tell myself. Maybe the microphone has stopped working. But a moment before I get out from the store to check it up, I hear a low voice on the intercom. Hello, a man's voice says on the other side of the line. Hey, good evening, I respond. My family and I would like to order, please. Okay, what would you like? After a few moments of silence, the man says, me and my wife will have a double Big Mac meal with fries and Coke, and 2 Happy Meals for the little 2 in the back. I'm writing down the order and say, okay, it's $40. What's the name? Just write the Goldberg family, he says. Okay, please move forward with your car to the reception window and wait for the order to be ready. Back to the kitchen, I turn on the oil heater and pour some frozen fries and processed meat. When everything is ready, I put it all in a large carton bag and step towards the window. When I got there, I leaned my head out of the window and saw an old car moving towards me slowly. The model is a white Honda Civic with lots of tin blows on it. It looks like they didn't even bother to take it to the garage or something. But who am I to judge other people? I work at the most doubtful place that exists after a war. The car stops near the window and the father opens the car's window. Hey, Goldberg's here, he smiles. Hey, I'm Tom. He keeps staring at me with his smile without saying a word. I can hear the crickets from the embarrassing silence. Okay, it's $40, please, I say to break the silence. Right, he says, and opens his wallet, searching for the money. As he continues to search for his money, one of the 2 kids suddenly yells, Dad, I'm hungry. Then his younger sister yells too, Yes, Daddy, bring the food. Their mother quickly turns her head to look at them and apologizes. Here, in a moment you'll have your food. The dad looks at me with a shameful look and apologizes. Sorry for this, we are starving to we had one hell of a ride. All good, I smiled to him. While he continues to look for his lost money in his wallet, I leave their order on the inside floor under the window until they pay. Suddenly I'm starting to smell this awful smell of something burned, like something is burning really strong. I turn to the family. I'm sorry, I got to check something. Before they reply, I'm already running to the kitchen, ready to see the damage I did. God, I probably forgot to turn off the oil heater, but as I got there, the smell was no longer there. Nothing has been burned down and the kitchen looks normal as always. This is so weird. After a moment, I remembered that I have to get back to the reception window to complete the payment and deliver the family their order. But as I returned to the window, the Goldbergs were no longer there. Their bag is still on the floor and they didn't leave the cash for it. I took my head outside from the window and there was no sign of them or their rusty old car. A few moments after my shift was over, as I was driving home, I thought to myself, why the hell did they leave without taking their meals if they were starving? And also, where did the weird smell come from? In the morning after I arrived at a morning shift, again at the McDrive stand, as I step inside the branch's main entrance, I see all the staff and my manager gathering around the small TV screen. It was a news broadcast. It's rare that something happens in our sleepy little town, so it must be something serious that occurred. The broadcast begins. The anchor's face is serious, and with a dramatic pose, she says, "A tragic car accident has taken the life of a whole family." Oh God, I'm thinking to myself, it must be the accident the policeman talked about. But then a video footage of the event is being played on the screen. In the video, there are a lot of emergency forces surrounding a vehicle that is on fire. And the vehicle is white, Honda Civic, with a lot of tin blows on it, just like the Goldbergs one. As I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on, the anchor continues. The Goldberg family were on their way from a long road trip, and all they wanted was to stop by the close McDonald's branch just around the corner. But a few moments before, their car suddenly deteriorated to the side of the road, and the result was fatal. The vehicle crashed into an electric pole that was at the corner. Because of their high speed, the pole collapsed on the car and blew up, and the car caught fire, leaving the father, mother, and their 2 children to burn to death. The report ended. I stare at the TV screen, still can't believe what I just heard. Mumbling to myself, what the hell? They died. It can't be true. I saw them alive yesterday. They did make it to the branch. I took an order from them, and suddenly, before I can finish what's in my mind, the intercom bell rings. It takes me a few seconds to realize, and it rings again. Tom, my manager, accelerated at me. What are you waiting for? There are customers outside. Answer them. With my hands shaking and my heart beating fast as hell, I open up the microphone and say, McDonald's, Tom speaking. What would you like to order? But then I hear the voice again. It's the dad. We didn't take our meals last night. Can you bring us food? We are so hungry. That was really good, that poor family. What a cool little twist. Again, I'm really sorry about the creaking noise. I hope it's not too loud. Okay, this is gonna be the last story of the night. It's by Saturday, and it is titled People Go Missing on the Night Shift. She Tried to Save Me. It was my first night shift. Working extra at a gas station is pretty far from everybody's dream, but it pays the bills. I was hell-bent on not having another opportunity slip out of my hands because of the money. One small investment and a move to Minneapolis, and I would have had a six-figure salary, but I just couldn't find the funds. So there I was, stocking the shelves at a gas station. Money is money, and there's plenty of future to go around, I guess. I'd worked a few day shifts before, so I knew the place well enough. However, I'd never been left alone for the night shift before. This was the first time I'd be completely unsupervised. Jada, my supervisor, was about to take off for the night. She kept repeating the same instructions over and over. Then again, this place had a huge turnover. Maybe she honestly forgot I wasn't that new. No phones, she urged. If you got a slow night, make yourself useful. Nod and smile. I decided to get the worst tasks out of the way early. Cleaning the bathroom, restocking the freezers, taking out the trash, checking the receipt rolls, watering the plants. Took me about an hour. It wasn't even midnight yet, and I was pretty much done for the night. I considered mopping the floor, but I figured I could save that for later. I'd been useful enough. I was on my fourth game of team fight tactics when I realized I'd forgotten my name tag. No big deal really, but figured I might as well fetch it. The manager's office was usually locked, but tonight I had the keys to it. I opened the door and started going through the drawers. Didn't take long to find the name tags. There was an entire box of them. At first I thought they were all blanks, but as I started going through them, I realized they were all previous employees. Sure, this place had a high turnover, but we were talking 100 people easy. This was ridiculous. I admit this is where I started asking myself some questions. During the day shift, there was always someone new, someone being trained or interviewed. I had only been there for about a week and I was already feeling like a veteran. The only people who seemed to be regulars were the managers, Jada, Kennedy, and Alicia. They seemed decent enough, so why were so many people quitting? As I got back behind the register, I realized there was a customer outside, literally just outside the door. I waved at them. There was something off. They were just standing there, but they were so close that the automated door should have opened, and yet the door remained closed. It was a man, late 30s, scraggly beard, rough red shirt, bit of a chunky look with sunken and bloodshot eyes and a natural frown. He just stared at me. I waved at him again, but I got no response. "Can I help you?" I called out. Nothing, not even a blink. I pulled out a chair and sat down. The man stayed outside, looking in. I tried not to think about it, seem to want anything. I couldn't tell if he was on drugs or just being weird. I gave him a few minutes, but he just stood there. Finally, I got up from my chair. "Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." He didn't seem to listen. He was a bit shorter than me, but he had a good 50 pounds on me. He'd be trouble in a brawl. "I don't want to call the police," I said. "Can I help you, sir?" I pulled out my phone and held it up for him to see. I dialed the number and held it up for him to see, but still nothing. Then my phone rang. Unknown caller. It was just past midnight. Without letting the unnerving man out of my sight, I took the call. "Yeah," I answered. "Please don't hang up," a voice on the other end said. "You're in danger and I can help." I was getting nervous. I wandered back and forth, watching those bloodshot eyes follow me. "Who is this?" I asked. "I'm Angie," the voice responded. "I used to work there. Same shift, same managers. I wanted to warn you." I'd seen an Angie tag in the box earlier, maybe even several. She sounded young and nervous as hell. "In a few hours, something terrible is gonna happen," she continued. "And if you're not out by then, you might as well be dead." "What are you talking about?" "Look outside." I'd been looking outside the entire time, but I'd been entirely focused on this one man outside the front door. From across the road, I could see more people, about a dozen, lumbering out of the woods. "I need you to leave," she said. "Just walk out. Nothing will happen if you just walk away. Nothing will come for you." Who are these people? What's gonna happen? I don't know what. "Look," she interrupted. "It's perfectly simple. Just walk out of the door." Something in me screamed for me not to do it, that I shouldn't step outside and walk past these people. They felt malicious, and I couldn't put my finger on why. Still, I stepped up to the door. Leaving seemed like the obvious choice. Strangely, it didn't open. "It won't open," I said. "Hold on. They want to keep you in there. They don't want you to leave. They want you to stay and die." "Die?" I asked. "What do you mean?" I stopped my pacing. Something was wrong. Was I locked in? "Tell me exactly what is about to happen," I demanded. "Something is in there with you," Angie sighed. "It could be 5 minutes. It could be a few hours. But that thing in there is coming for you." "And what thing are we talking about?" The man with the bloodshot eyes had 2 people joining him. A young man with a grotesque overbite and a young woman who could easily be mistaken for a child. All of them stared at me with the same broken eyes and rough clothes. They stopped inches short of the front door. "It doesn't have a name," Angie said, "but it'll leave you empty. It'll leave you like the people out front. But if I leave, I'll be okay. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Hold on, I'll check the back." I hurried out back to the employee entrance. I pressed down the cold handle and the door swung open. Outside were another group of 4 people, 2 young men, an older woman, and a girl no more than 16 years old. They all stared at me. I couldn't tell if they were drawn to me or the store. I stopped short of stepping through the door. "Why do they come here?" I asked Angie. "They serve their master. They want the spoils." "What spoils? What?" I thought about it. She was talking about me. "Right," I said, nodding to myself. "I see. Are you at the back door? Are you there yet?" Yeah, I'm here. Just walk out, she whispered. It's not too late. I was just about to walk out when a thought hit me. Why would they lock the front door but not the back? That didn't make any sense. If the purpose was to keep me here, they could easily barricade the back as well. Something didn't add up. The door is open, I said. Great, you can still make it. Why wouldn't they lock the back door, Angie? She hesitated and there was a brief pause. If they're locking me in here to hurt me, why wouldn't they lock the back door? I repeated. I don't know, she said, but you have to trust me. They gave me the keys, Angie. They go everywhere. I can lock and unlock this door 100 times. What's going on? They don't usually do that. I closed the door and stepped back, 4 less pairs of eyes staring at me. Look, Angie said. I was the last person to leave. They fucked up. I found a spare key and got out before it was too late. Maybe they figured I'd warn you. Maybe they're trying to trick you. Sure, yeah, I chuckled. Convenient. I'm trying to help you, she cried out. Those things are there to discourage you from going outside. They're harmless, but they're there to scare you. Can't you see it? All just a way for them to get you in there. To keep you there. I've got one person screaming at me to go outside and no one telling me to stay. No locked doors, just plenty of creeps staring at me. What am I supposed to believe? Fine, you want more proof? Call the police. Hang up and call them. I ended the call. There were 8 people out front by now, all gathering outside the front door. I couldn't tell if they were trying to get in or if they were waiting for me to step out. I called the emergency services only to be met with silence. Not even a dial tone, just blank, nothing. I tried a few more numbers. My mom, my friends. I tried going online, but all I got was cached copies of sites I'd been to before. My background picture had changed to a black screen. But there was something else. Something had started to smell. The freshly stocked frozen goods had suddenly gone bad, and a stench was oozing out of the freezers. Our flowers by the counter had withered and died, all except the sunflowers, which had turned a sickly blue. I wasn't getting through to anyone. Being inside was awful. The single-serving frozen meals were making me gag. I figured I'd go for the landline. As I got in my manager's office, I got another call on my phone. Unknown caller. Looking back and forth between my phone and the landline, I weighed my options. I chose Angie. How are you getting through? I asked her. How do you know my number? I still got the email password. I just checked your application. But how come your number works? Everything else is down. I'm calling from a private network, she said. They don't know there's a way in. I asked. I thought it was just one thing. No, they're working together. People don't just go missing without someone noticing. So there's like an intelligence behind it. A conspiracy. Yeah. People who come and go in these places all the time. Are they paying you under the table? They figured it was sort of a trial and no paperwork, no missing people, no records, just a box of name tags. It made sense in a way, but I needed more. I needed proof. There had to be something. Why didn't you call me earlier? I asked. You could have called me as soon as I got the job, or as soon as my shift started. I had to make sure Jada wasn't around, she said. She would have tricked you. I'm not sure you're not trying to trick me. Why would I spend my time calling you from across across the country just to have you fail," she screamed. "If I was a part of this, I would have just let you sit there with your goddamn teamfight tactics and die." She went quiet. So did I. I counted my breaths as I looked outside. There were more of them now. "How did you know what I was playing?" I asked. She didn't respond. The silence hung in the air. "I'm asking you, how did you know what I was playing?" She was just as quiet as the man with the bloodshot eyes, still waiting for me outside the door. "You're watching. You knew I was alone. You knew I was getting antsy about the guy showing up outside." "Yeah," she sighed. "You tried to get me out as soon as he showed up. You tried to trick me before there were too many of them to scare me off." That's not," she sighed. I could hear heavy breathing. As I paced back and forth, I was getting ready to hang up. This was a trick. She was the one tricking me, clearly, trying to get me outside to join those things. "I know this looks bad," she said. "I know. I'm sorry. I'm honestly just trying to help you." This time I was the one keeping quiet. I walked up to the door, studying the people outside. Blank stares following my every move. I felt like a snake charmer, like they could snap out of it and tear me apart in the blink of an eye. As I said, I have the passwords for everything. I'm the only one who knows them. I just wanted to give you the best shot of getting out of there. I hoped they wouldn't come tonight, but as soon as they did, I just had to do something. "You're not being honest with me." "I'm not lying. I'm just having a hard time explaining it. There's a lot of shit about this that all sounds completely insane. I don't want to throw you off the deep end." "Give it to me straight," I demanded. "Tell me what the fuck is coming for me." "It's not a thing. Like, not real. It's there, but it's just... I don't know how to explain it. It just steps through." "Steps through what? The world? The air? A ripple in time or something? It just steps in and it's there. And then it shoves some kind of mouth spike into your head and gargles up something inside. A mouth spike. What the hell are you?" "Yes, a spike, and no, I mean, it goes into your mouth. It doesn't have a mouth of its own. It just goes into you and gone. Game over." I didn't know what to think. My mind was a jumbled mess and I felt my pulse rising and falling. There were over 18 people outside in various states of disarray, all of them just staring at me. If I just stepped outside, I'd know for sure. What does it look like? The lights flickered. There was a loud hum, a buzz, and then an electric failure. One of the fluorescent lights burned out while the others just slowly dimmed to nothing. This was real. It was make or break by this point. Something was happening. The lights went out. I whispered, "Is this?" "Now," and she screamed, "Get out now." I ran. I tripped and tumbled my way into the back room in complete darkness. I almost twisted my ankle as I bumped into the lunch table. I could barely hear my thoughts and I had to remind myself to breathe. The roof of my mouth ached as if anticipating a piercing pain. I could feel my head filling with blood and adrenaline as my dry eyes refused to blink. As I put my hand on the back door, I did the mistake of pulling instead of pushing. It took me 3 tries before a thought hit me. I couldn't see the sign on the door because of the darkness. In fact, I couldn't see anything. Nothing. "Angie," I wheezed, putting holding my phone to my ear. "You there? Hurry," she screamed. "You can make it." "How did you see it?" she screamed. "How did you see it?" I screamed. "The thing was huge, it just..." "No, how did you see it in complete darkness? You said the lights went out." "It was right there. I can't even see the sign on the back door. How the hell did you see a spike?" "Look, And to add to that, how the hell do you know what it does with that spike? You've never seen the thing kill. You said you were the last one to work this shift. And the thing sure as hell didn't kill you. You're missing the point. It doesn't add up, Angie. None of this adds up. You couldn't have seen it, and there's no way for you to know how it kills." I stood there in the dark. I heard Angie panting on the other side, matching my breathing. "You're lying to me, Angie. You're not trying to save me." She stopped breathing for about a minute. It was just quiet. The call ended. A wave washed over me. I was either dead or saved. There was no in between. I was moments from finding out. Every little sound shook me. A breeze just outside, a crackling wire, ventilation struggling to turn back on. I hadn't even noticed my hand was on the door handle. "You lied to me," I said out loud. You did. I caught you." There was a sound coming from the other side of the door, a shuffling of feet. "Yes," said Angie, from the other side of the door. I must have stood there for an hour until the power came back on. The people outside were gone. Angie was gone. My phone worked just fine, so I called everyone and just cried for help. The police found me locked in the bathroom in a full panic, and I barely even remembered being escorted out. Cameras had picked up a mob gathering outside, but that was pretty much it. They couldn't be identified from the back of their heads. Jada and the other managers were called in, and they seemed genuinely surprised. I've since looked it up. 100 people starting and quitting their job in a place like that isn't uncommon. People come and go all the time. The managers honestly didn't know why people disappeared, it seems. Maybe this is just how things work, or maybe there's more than one Angie out there preying on short-term workers. And the front door, there was no conspiracy there. The thing just jams sometimes, some kind of trouble with the wiring. If I'd messed with it just a bit more, the thing could have kicked wide open. That broken door was the only thing that saved me from joining them that night. I would have walked right out as soon as Angie asked me to. I worked there for another 4 months, but just day shifts and weekends. The night shifts seemed to go off without a hitch though. Maybe Angie and her friends moved on from an easy meal. I have saved up enough money for my move to Minneapolis, but I'd never forgive myself if I didn't put this into writing. Looking back at it, it feels surreal. There are things out there